So, from reading this article, it really just focused on the strategies to use when trying to foster collaboration through technology. So, I just focused on the ones that I thought were very important to share and to focus on and what I plan to implement into my future classroom. So one is just to select which students will be in groups together based on strengths and weaknesses. Again, this goes back to table groups in that one article that I read. It's important that students align with their learning so that one person isn't excelling and somebody else is not doing as well. It kind of puts them together and they have a similar learning style so that they can work together and get the most out of their learning. Two is to make sure the size of the group is effective for the task at hand, making sure that the group isn't too large that somebody is getting left behind, and making sure that it's not just like two people, or making sure that depending on the assignment, like if two people work, that's great, and making sure that um, what the project, how many people are needed for that project. Three is to teach students how to be active listeners to their peers. This one is super important because you don't want somebody, again, to be getting left behind, making sure that through this collaborative process that all students are being able to share their ideas and thoughts and get the best out of the learning. Four is to model how a group should work together. This goes back to teaching them how to be active listeners, making sure that you're showing them the right tools to use, the right words to use, how to respond to somebody. Building emotional social skills is super important for kids just so that they can know how to communicate well with others. Five is to explain the expectations before the group work. You can do this by creating a rubric, creating a template, walking through the steps with them just so that they know what they need to do and what needs to be completed, and that they can excel in what they're doing. Six is, if your lesson permits, give each group a different task. This will allow students to share their learning with others, building that community. Like I talked about from another article, assigning podcasts to small groups and then making those groups create presentations so that they can teach their peers what they listen. And you can do this for multiple things. You can do it by assigning videos or articles or different online sources like that. And then this way, the students will look up to other students because they're learning from them. Seven is to evaluate groups based upon what they have done and not in comparison to each other. This is a big one because it is important to look at that student alone and not just to group them in with the group that they are a part of, and to see how their learning is, not just compared to others. And you can do this by maybe having the group evaluate others and say, and share how they feel like their peers contributed to the project, and then have them self evaluate, and also just from you observing the group as a whole. Overall, these are just some great strategies to use with digital collaboration in order to foster that growth and that social skills, and to build a community amongst your students, building that communication, and helping the students with their plans and their lessons and what they're learning.